the difference between version 6 and version 7, the version we just updated to here, is that you will now have you won't have to go to the back end, I guess, to do all the editing, which is really cool. It's all kind of built in to the front end of the site, and I'll show you what that means here right now, actually. So all the rest of the workflow and the editing, all those kind of methods that we were editing on the previous version are actually just the same. The template is just the same, so there's nothing changed site-wide. It's just the way to edit the content that's changed now. All right, so if I go and click the arrow in the upper left, it allows me to kind of toggle between preview mode, which is what the world would see, and then the kind of admin mode that you would have here. You would have the ability to view various areas within the site, so within the back end. So this is really the biggest difference, and it makes things a lot faster, in my opinion. So well, let's go ahead and get into it. So when we're in this mode right now, if we click on pages, then we'll be able to see all the pages within the site. And specifically, this main navigation is actually located right here. So we can see About Us, Grant Seekers, Resources, boom, boom, boom. And those are considered folders, if you want to consider those to be like a folder. And then within those folders, you have these various pages. So that's how those are displayed. And then this not linked area then is where we have this special custom menu that I added here, and it's just called not linked because it's not found in this main menu. So really don't need to further explain that, but I guess here you could say, you know, unlinked pages are public but do not appear in navigation. Hey, that's an easier way to say it too. So those would include like home. So the home page, it's up there but it's not here. Things like that. So we have FAQ here under resources. What we could do is if we said, oh, you know, let's put that under the About Us menu instead, we can actually drag and drop that there, and now the page will refresh, and now the FAQ is there instead of there. So really simple to do. Just a fantastic system because of these features, and I think you're going to be pretty pleased with that. I mean, you can basically see when you mouse over here, there's all these little panels that pop up. Obviously, you wouldn't want to, you know, edit like the logo section. This entire section up here is editable on the back end. That's kind of a code only kind of configuration. So, but again, we probably wouldn't change those. If for some reason you wanted to squeeze another menu item in there, we might be able to do that. We might want to add a little more height, but we could do that. So there's those options, but certainly, you know, you can add more content to this navigation bar if you need to do that. All right, the apply button is just a single button. There's no folder, so it's a single page that kind of floats off on its own, and it has its own special styling. Home header content. You probably won't want to use that on this particular page. I'll see if we've used it on other pages, but on every single page we've used the page content area. So you can pretty much see that when you mouse over these areas, you'll see, okay, this one says page content. So we would actually say, okay, I want to edit that. So you click edit, the page kind of goes full screen, and this content area is kind of highlighted to kind of focus on just editing this area. So pretty simple at this point, right? So all of the content within this particular page, we have like a text block here, a text block there. I mean, this is all one text block. And then within the text block, we have various styles. So this is an H2 heading. And then this is a paragraph style, and then this is an H2 heading there. We have linked text there, and italic text there. And then over on the right side, this is actually an image block, another image block, another image block, and I'll show you how we're going to utilize those image blocks here shortly. But I'll first get into kind of editing text content, and then the basics of moving blocks around and what is a block. So we didn't make any changes here. I don't want to really edit anything on the home page, just to kind of be safe. What I'm going to do is go ahead and create a page in this not linked area. I'll just go down here to the very bottom and just make a training page. So what I did is I said add page. Maybe I went too fast. Let me do that again. Actually, let's go and delete this one. Well, I got click happy. Okay, so anyway, here's that new page. I'll go ahead and select this, and let's make sure it's the right one. Yes, delete. And if you do delete something and you didn't mean to, you can actually go down here to this deleted pages area, and you can find it, and then you can click restore it. You can click restore. So you shouldn't have to worry about that really happening. And I don't know if those ever do actually go away. Pages remain here for 7 days. Okay, so yeah, so they'll be there for 7 days anyway. And I don't know if, I mean, that doesn't look accurate because, well, October 1st, April 29th. I think those must be old. Anyway, yeah, I don't think we did those. But anyway, yeah, so anyway, here we go. Let's get into it again. So what page am I on now? This is new page 1, which I don't really see that here. Did I add a page? Did I add a page? Unused. Please keep. Board portal, grantees. Yeah, I don't think this is an actual page. Let me, if I refresh this, it might say page not found. Yeah, okay. So that's the one I deleted. I don't know what happened there. I guess the system or I got confused. All right, so back on pages, scrolling down, I'm going to add a page, and this is the area where I'll pause and explain. So we have various page types. Throughout most of the site, we're using just a page. So, like just a regular old page. There's other pages like products page. So if you want to sell anything on the system, we can do that, and you can load in multiple products and add all sorts of information about the product. Let's say you wanted to sell t-shirts and you wanted to have 6 different sizes and 10 different colors. You can do all those things. You can set up all those variables for each individual product. Super simple. Really a fantastic system. And then a cover page is actually like just more or like a landing page. So if you did any sort of marketing event or something like that, where you want people to, like click on an email and go to a special like landing page or something like that. That's what a cover page is. Or if you wanted to do a special page for like social networks and things like that, you can kind of do a big, huge about us type page that has like huge images and huge bold text and stuff like that. So it's a stylized page that would look a lot different than your site, but it would match things on your site because it would use the same fonts and those things. Anyway, if you're into music, you can post an album. A blog, we are using the blog in one particular area, and I'll show you where we're using that. But we're only using it right now for back-end uses only to kind of push some content, and I'll show you what that means. If you wanted to post a photo gallery, you can do that. You can actually do that within any page, so you don't really have to use a specific gallery page for that. If you had a special event and you wanted to take 20 or 30 photos, you can do that, and you can provide a photo gallery. I'll show you how to do that within any page or any post within the site. The events component, it acts a lot like a blog, but it's kind of different because you can say you have an event on December 29th, and and it goes from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or something like that. So you basically make a post, make the start date, end date, or start time, start date, start time, end time, and then you basically give it a title, and then it'll either read a lot like a blog post, so it would match exactly these pages, or we could set it up where it would view as a calendar. So if you wanted to start posting multiple events, you can do those things. I didn't. Oh yes, and then a link. So if you have any external links where people might just click into, I think I've used. I guess I didn't use any of those. Yeah. So if you wanted people to go to an external site, like let's say Google or something like that. So you could put the word Google here, and then people would click that, and it would actually jump right out of this menu and go to that site. Anyway, don't want to over-explain that, so we're just talking pages. So I'll go ahead and add a page, a regular old page, and I'm just going to call this, training or something like that. So just go ahead and hit enter. At that point, the page will refresh and the page will load in, and you'll see it's structured. I mean, we do have all of our available navigation. We have our sidebar kind of content here, and we have our various editable content regions here. So the header content, we're just going to ignore that for now. Page content is where we'd want to add things, and then our footer content, we could ignore that as well. And then way down here, we do have our footer content. So maybe January 1st, you can come down here and you can change this to say 2015. That might be the only thing that you might change there, unless you wanted to maybe modify some of the spacing or some of those kind of things. But this is all also editable content as well. But we'll just go back up here. Let's go to the page content area, and I'll say edit. And at that point, we kind of give focus to this area. By default, every new page that you start out, it'll always start out with a text block kind of already there, and if I delete it, it'll always kind of come back. I mean, you can never start a page without anything on it. I mean, it'll always have something on it, and in this case, it'll always have a text block, because you'll use text on every page. So what we've done then throughout the rest of the site, I'm just going to say hold, just so I know that I've typed something and I've saved something. There we go. That's how I did it. But we can go to any one of these other pages, and we'll go see how we've kind of formatted things here. So I'll just go ahead and go into the edit mode. This is a heading 1. So an H1 heading is what we've used for all the page titles. This line is actually assigned to that page title. So I'll show you when we type that here in a second. But let's just go there because we don't want to learn too much about another page. So let's go back to our training page. And so this will be our page title. So I'll just call this page training. Actually, I'll call it video training. And then if I double click that, or if I click and drag it, just basically select it, then I'll go ahead and select heading 1. And when I do that, you can see that line already appears. So all of that formatting is already intact. And then if I put my cursor after the end and I hit enter, we're now out of heading 1, and we're now in a paragraph. So it gets really easy to kind of, let me see if I can, yeah, I'll just get some fake text here and paste it in place. There we go. So I just basically just grabbed some fake content and I pasted it into place. And this is considered paragraph text. And then I can go ahead and break this apart further. And if I wanted to, let's say this was my next subheading or something, and then this is some more information below, and then let's say that this was another subheading, and then let me put just a little more content here. I'm going to go, enter, and that's cool. All right, so let me walk through and format this page then. So what we have basically is a paragraph. I don't know why I said 4. I guess my browser is like doing some spell checking, so I'm just going to say ignore wonder if I can turn off spelling. I guess I don't care, right? I mean, we're all used to that. Because I don't want to ruin it after I'm done returning. I don't want to have to go, oh, I'm misspelling words again. All right, so we've said this is a paragraph, and then we're going to do a subheading here. So let's make this a heading 2, which we've used across the site. And in this case, you know, we probably wouldn't have an entire paragraph. Oh, I know what I did. Yes, so you see how it grabbed everything there. Instead of doing that, I could probably just select the line and then say heading 2. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. So by default, our heading 2 has its bullet as well. And then let's add, let me select this line, which I guess I just did, but let me select that one and then make this one a heading 3. So heading 3 looks a lot like the others. I don't even know if we've used heading 3 throughout anywhere else in the site. And then if we select this text here, and I was going to make this like a bulleted list. So I've selected this text, and then I can come up here and make that a bulleted list. So that's how that formatting already is in place. So you can pretty much see if I hit save now. Really, if I hit save now, there we go. And then you can kind of go to this preview mode. So I mean, without hardly any effort, we now have our heading that's already formatted. Everything is kind of responsive, which means we can scale things and it'll adapt to that size. So piece of cake. So we have our H1 heading, our paragraph text, our H2 heading, our paragraph text, more paragraph text, and our bulleted list. So moving right through. And if I hit escape now, it'll actually go back. Am I a liar? Escape. Escape. Well, it's supposed to go back to this mode here. Maybe I'm just crazy. So here we are editing again. We can go back into this area and edit. So at this point, if we wanted to add an image to the page, and let's say we'd want to add it maybe in the upper left up here, because we want it to maybe float up here. What we can do is we can basically. Oh, I have to go to edit. There we go. Now it looks like it should. You'll see these little bubbles appear wherever I move my cursor. You'll see how it kind of says here, here, here. Those are basically ways to insert content. And even though they're a little distracting, they're pretty awesome. I mean, they're your friend, because now we can pretty much say, I want to add an image. Let me just add an image right here. So if I click that, then we're already using a text block. Quote block would be like a customer quote or something like that. So it's formatted text. It'll have who said it, and then the site, or the information on who said like who said this, and you can give their title and things. You can add an image. You can add a photo gallery. You can add a video. You can also add videos within the gallery. You can add audio, which I believe probably most likely MP3 type audio. I think you can also add wave audio and things like that as well. Embed is kind of like, if you see any code out there, like let's say there's some survey type code or something like that you'd want to add, you would use that embed code. Spacer and line, I'll show you what those are. Those are kind of handy to use as like a spacing kind of tool if you want to add sections and things like that. I'll show you how those work. If we want to add a form within the page, you can do that. If you want to add like a newsletter sign up, this will work with MailChimp, which is a third-party newsletter application. Add a map, it'll add a Google map. If you want to add a code block, if you're a restaurant, you could add a menu. Calendar, I didn't know that was an option, and I'm not sure really what that is. It could be Google Calendar, I'm not sure. Or it could be the events calendar. Open table, again, a restaurant thing. Bands in town, it would be a band thing. Filters and lists, so we can add search, but we have search kind of already at the top of the site. A content link is kind of like, visit google.com. Again, you could add that pretty easily. Button, we have some pre-formatted buttons. I'll show you how that works. Tag cloud, tag list, author list, category list. Those are all directly related to like blog content. So if you have a blog and you have multiple categories and you have like, you know, like a legal category, then anytime you'd add, you could add that category list, and then anyone who would click on legal, then it would filter and it would just show them all those blog posts. But anyway, commerce, again, you know, that's for a commerce component. And then social blocks, if you have any third-party social stuff, then we can add that. So if you started tweeting, you know, we could add a Twitter block to the site and it would show those posts. But anyway, let's go back to the image. So basically, we basically said, I'll click off. We said let's go ahead and insert an image. So if I say click, then what's going to happen? I usually don't do it this way because it does kind of go, hey, it goes, you know, full width image. But let's go ahead and add an image. So when you click add an image, I basically have just some kind of generic content here. And I'll just upload an image. And we're just going to say don't display caption, and we'll say save. So, you know, that quickly we've gone ahead and added an image. We could say save, and then we could preview it, and you know it's pretty much hogging up the whole area. But because the site is fully responsive, it's going to adapt to notebook, which I'm on, you know, desktop, widescreen, whatever, or tablet width, or you know, like a mobile width, which is kind of like this and probably smaller than this mode here. But you can see how well that does scale. It's going to adapt perfectly to whatever device you view that on. But you know, you probably wouldn't have an image that large. I mean, you might do that within the site, but generally you would probably park this image somewhere within the content. And this is where it becomes a little weird, but I think it's, you know, I have to show you how this kind of works. So this is considered a block. This is an image block. This is considered a text block. You know, so we can actually add another text block or whatever. So now we have an image block, a text block. I can actually grab this and drag and drop it. And let me just put it over here on the right side. You can see where the black line appears there on the vertical line. It was there, and I moved. I'm gonna drop it back. There it is. So yeah, if I wanted to release it there, or if I want to bring it to the left side, you see how that black line appears there. Well, what's happening is it's wanting to add another column. So what I did is I drag and dropped the image, and now we've split the width of the content area in half, and there's actually 12 columns. You don't really have to know that, but it's kind of always good to know that, you know, there's always 12 invisible columns there. This one's currently 6 wide, and this one's currently 6 wide. It doesn't have to be that way. We could go ahead and drag this center section, and it would basically reduce the image, and it will make the content larger. And very cool, very easy, because you know, like I showed you before, it's going to respond beautifully on those devices. I went ahead and dragged it to the right side, and I could go ahead and say save at this point. We can go ahead and preview this. And if you know, so on like a tablet, most likely this image, yeah. So our sidebar will drop to the bottom, and then the image will stay over there until a certain point. Well, here, I'll show you where that sidebar content is right there. And then the image content has also snapped down below. So that image content, or anything kind of on the right side, is the more less important kind of content would go on the right. Your most important stuff is usually upper left. So in this case, you know, your branding, your H1 heading, which is our, you know, our loudest thing on the page. I mean that's like the most important thing on the page, and that's what Google would see too. Google would respect the H1 and say H1 is the most important thing What else is there? And then it would say, oh, the H2 is also very important. So after it kind of goes through that, then it says, well, what's the content under H1? That's also important in the content, so that hierarchy all makes a lot of sense to the world, and especially in the world of search engine optimization and things. That sort of structure is pretty awesome. So along with that, though, we also kind of fall back on the areas that are on the right side. We kind of say, this is a supporting image to this content, and then this side content over here is kind of like, hey, by the way, here's some more stuff that you might be interested in. So that's how we've kind of had things set up. We kind of say, you would come to the site, you can navigate to where you want to go. We would assume that the page you're on, you'd probably read that and scroll through it. Before you click away, hey, here's some more stuff. So that's kind of how the whole design is laid out throughout the whole site. Now, if I go back to edit, we can go back to edit this section, and we say, okay, well, maybe we don't like this white gap under here or something like that. We could either we could add another image if we want by just clicking right there, and I'll show you how this becomes really cool really quickly, because all these widths are going to be held. We don't really have any issues with weird spacing at this point. They're all going to do what we want them to do. We just basically said, put an image here, and you can see that when I put my cursor here, it's putting that line only underneath that section. So we can pretty much assume that if I was going to install, if I was going to add anything there, like I just add another text block, text here, then I can do that. I can center that content. I can bold it, italicize it, and I can hit enter after it. And let's say I wanted to check Google. Special thanks to Google. I've mentioned it 10 times already. So that's bold, italic. I'm just gonna make that back to where it was. Normal just means it's paragraph text. It's not a heading kind of content. And then if we wanted to add a link to Google at this point, we could just, while this text is highlighted, you would come up here and click this little link icon. And then it says, where do you want to go? We could type in the external link if we know it. http://www.google.com. And then what we'd want to always do when it's an external link like that, as I always say, open that in a new window. We wouldn't want to do that for like other pages within the site, because then the user would have all these multiple windows open and it gets really crazy. So I would use that feature when sending someone off site. That way your site is always kind of open when they would close out of Google, and then they would go, oh, where was I? Oh, yes, I was back on Clues. Okay, let me go back and do what I was doing. There we go. So we want to say, just hit enter after this, and then this is now a link. Or if I want to say, contact us now, we could highlight this text, and let's make a link to a page within the site. That would be considered content. So if I select that, then I can kind of scroll down here and say contact. And if I select that, then this now has the link to that contact page. Super, super simple. Or if you want to say, let's say you wanted to say download the PDF. Maybe you have a new PDF to add. Download PDF. Here. We can highlight this text and then go back to link. And then we would actually select files. If we know the file already exists, we can go to existing files and we can go find that. So you can pretty much see, oh yeah, it's the application PDF, whatever. So you can select that, and I guess you could open that new window. That's kind of a nice thing, because then it'll do that. And you can see down here that's going to open up that link. That's there. If we had a new Cursor, please. Hello. Hit save. Edit. There we go. Or if we have a new PDF or a new file, let's call it a PDF. And actually, let me go ahead and create a PDF. Oops. And let's see, create PDF from file, desktop, assets. I can see my computer is struggling. Okay, hopefully this won't crash. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a PDF. Save as, desktop, asset one, asset1.pdf. Okay, good, thank you. And I'm just going to quit out of that because Acrobat is probably a hog. All right, so now I have a PDF on my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this text, and I can select the link, and then files. And then instead of existing, we'd say new file, which it's there by default. I guess we just say add file. And it's on my desktop, asset1.pdf. And it's going to upload that, which is pretty small. And it kind of added it so we'd be able to get it later as well, which is cool. Asset1.pdf, open a new window. Yay. That's there. And you can see down this little link identifier says asset1.pdf. Now if I go ahead and hit save, let's go ahead and test this page and just make sure that we're all cool. So this is like an external link, right? We're going to open up in a new tab. There it is. Oh, let me go back to Clues Fund. Contact us now will take us to the contact page. Cool, that worked. Download PDF here. I guess this was our this is our application. So when I click that, it's going to go ahead and open up that, and I could fill that out and do what it tells me to do. New PDF is the one I just created, which is there. There it is. Wonderful. Piece of cake, right? So that's how linking works. Let me go back and edit page content. So you know, if we wanted to go ahead and remove some of these things, we could either click, say, edit, and remove there. I'm going to say cancel, or you can grab this little guy and then drag it to the trash. It'll trash it that way too. I can do that. You can actually probably format these, and it would keep that same bullet, which is kind of nice. But if we want to get rid of this text block, we can do that as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and trash that text block. And let's see what our quote block looks like. By default, it'll say nothing. This is amazing. It'll already put the quotes with it, and then you can put who said it. Move this little thing. And we can put some more text in there just so it doesn't look so weird. Paste. Save. Save. You can use the text block that way, which is kind of nice because then you can kind of move that where you want it. You know, we've got these columns right now, but we haven't talked about like putting content within the, you know, like to kind of add it to the actual page, kind of like a newspaper might do. So what we can do is that we can actually drag this, and where it becomes gray, like there, that is going to be added kind of in line to the rest of the content. And that's considered kind of a float is what that is called, because it's floating on the left, it's floating on the right. And what does that mean? Well, if I release it here, you'll see that things wrap around it really nicely. So, with text, it might be a little difficult to read. We might want to add additional elements to this. But anyway, we could, but anyway, I mean, I would generally put like a quote maybe over on the right side or the left side or something like that, and then maybe your image could be that kind of floated element. You can also resize this as well, and you think, well, that's tiny, but we also want people to see it. We can go ahead and actually make this a light box image, so that when people click it, let's go back to preview mode. When people click it, then it'll actually show up large. So you're not really, you're not out anything by including that image there, because people can, if they're interested, they can click it and view it larger. Very cool. And then this kind of content will also adapt to those mobile styles as well, the same way. So that quote text should be right there. Good stuff. Good stuff so far. If we remove, if I go to edit and then remove this text block, I could say remove this way, then we'll snap everything wide again to our wide width. And I can go ahead again and, kind of start playing with where I want this image to go. If I didn't want it to float, or if I didn't want it to be in a column, if I wanted to kind of split the area, I can do that as well. So you can pretty much see that wherever that line goes is where the box shall also go. So that's how that works. If I want to, I can actually put it down here now. This is kind of an important one to learn. So we already knew that our full top line that goes all top to the bottom. You can see it right there, how it's top, bottom on the right side. That's going to create its own column. So if I release it there, we're going to have our 50-50 split. If I do it here, it's going to make like that floated image within this content. And if well, actually, let me put it here again really quickly, just to split this space. This is where it gets, the system gets kind of weird like this. I mean, it's just kind of like, what's going on? But you can, once you start to play with it a little bit, you'll see it. So again, here's our full top, bottom, or here's, if I moved a little bit to the left, you see how the line only goes to just this section, right there. Whoops, right there. Okay, so then if I drop it there, that's where I want it. So that's going to make a new column. So I can add more content here at this point. Blah blah blah. So at this point now I have this interesting kind of column scenario. I can also add a horizontal line if I want to do that, and it's kind of styled to match our site. If this is totally a new section and I wanted to want to add hey, this is a new section of moderate importance, something. I'm going to go ahead and make that an H2 heading, so it'll be just like that up there. And let's go ahead and add some spacing just to, well, let's say we don't want this image to crowd it or something like that. What we can do is that we can actually click here and we can say spacer, and then the spacer block is added, and we can go ahead and kind of bump this down a little bit. So we said, well, we really didn't want that to wrap. What we can do, this is now part of this text block, this content here. This is like a little hack, but this is kind of cool. You can kind of use a line as a knife. Just add a line there, and now we have a text block there, a line there, and then another text block. So we split that text block with the line. At this point, we want to make this heading span the full width. So we just drag and drop it, and then if we kill this line, Now we've got, makes a little more sense, and we probably wouldn't need to even put a spacer there now, would we? Because now it's going to line up exactly where we want it. Some more image editing. If you select the image block and think, well, instead I want to make this image taller, you can do that. You can just drag and drop this image. You don't want to go too big, just because this. Well, I know this particular image was only 800 pixels wide, so now it's going to get a little chunky when we do that. But at least I can show you what's going on with it. But let's say that oops, this left side is really what we wanted to show. You don't have to take it out and edit that in Photoshop or anything like that. What we can do is actually click edit on the photo, and if you click edit within the edit image area, oh, actually no, let's not do that yet. There's this focal point, and this little help text is coming up here on the left. It says image focal point allows Squarespace to make better cropping decisions when the image is placed within a thumbnail. Drag the circle to change the focal point. All right, so this is so cool, because there's no other system like this anywhere. But let's say that this Caruso is our sweet spot. This is the thing we want people to see at all times, regardless. Oops, I did not mean to click edit. I meant to just click save. Then what we'll have, if we make this dude bigger, is we're applying focus to this left side of the image. I just double clicked it to see if we could move it over even more. There we go. Yep. So that's kind of our most interesting spot, but we haven't had to go in and crop it down and kind of make it perfect. I mean, because but the end user will see it just as we wanted them to see it, and especially it's going to work that way across all widths as well. So there's our focal point of that particular image. So very cool. Again, we haven't used an external editor or something like that to even play with. We don't have to even mess with it. So at this point, oh, let me click edit. Then I just double clicked it again. We could then move that focal point around and highlight kind of other areas that we thought were important, whatever. So if it's someone's photo, then I would always put that on their nose or in between their eyes or on their face. That's what you can do there. If you do want to crop this photo, let's say you did just want this Caruso section, what we can do is click edit here, and there is a third-party editor built into the system, which again, awesome, because now we don't have to use Photoshop, but just know that when you make a change here, it's gonna be permanent for this image. So if you wanted to bring back the rest of this image, you'll just have to upload it again. So not a big deal, but if you say apply and save, that focal point should just kind of reset to the middle. And it doesn't refresh it here. That's the weird thing. And if I hit save and save again, so you'll have to refresh that sometimes, which is a little buggy, but I think they'll probably iron that out as well. But there you go. There's the Caruso thing we've got there. Cool, huh? All right. I will leave images alone. There's actually a lot of cool things you can do just within the system. Let me go ahead and kill this image just because we want to. Let me show you really quickly a gallery, how that works. So here's another thing to show you too is when we added that, you see how I just clicked it and added it, and it's going to go full screen. I'm going to say remove, confirm. The same instruction point applies to every block within the site. I don't know what happened there. I guess I have an extra space. It's weird and tight. Shouldn't be like that. Maybe if I refresh, it'll clean itself up. No, it's just weird. But anyway, I'll see if I can fix that. But yeah, if we wanted to, if we want to add an image to this section, and we know that we just wanted to add it to the right side here only, but we don't want to, deal with all those clicks and everything. What we can do is we could actually click here, and we say we want to add let me go ahead and do a gallery. I'm clicking and I'm dragging, so I'm holding this now. And I'm doing that directly from that insert unit or insert edit thing. And at this point, I would want to just, plop it over here. Cool. And then I can go ahead and upload images. This is going to be kind of a slideshow is what I'm going to add here. So I'll just select all these images to upload. And as those upload, I'm going to go over here and just kind of select this design. I'm going to say slideshow, automatically transition. Let's go every 7 seconds or something. Previous and next controls, which would be kind of little arrows. See if I can move this dude. Automatically crop, which is cool. If, in this case, all these images are the same size. If you have portraits and all kinds of weird different images, then you could do that and it would automatically resize things. Thumbnails would go below it. So if I select that, they'll line up down here. And then if you select any one of these, then it'll change out up here. You can resize those thumbnails to whatever size you want. Thumbnail height. Let's see, title, description. Let's say no on that because we're not going to add those right now. And let's go back to content. And we'll say save. So that is an image gallery. Super simple. I mean, there was nothing to it. We just went ahead and added it. You can also click up here, to go back and forth on these various images, or you can click the thumbnails down below. You can do that. If you did have other additional content, which I know on history page, this will be an edit. Let's go in and check this out. So if we come down here, we see this content here. We can click edit on this, and let's say we want to edit some of that. If we double click this block, then we'll see there's the 3 images that are in this slideshow. And the design on this is we did say automatically crop images. If we didn't, in this case, you could see that these images were like different ratios. So this one's like wider. This one's like almost, this one's square. Looks pretty much square. But if we say don't automatically crop images, then these images would actually be all different sizes. And let's see if they'll go through, if it'll cycle through. Yeah, there it goes. So it doesn't look as good. I mean, you can see that there's some like padding on the right and left side. It looks like it's as wide as your widest image, and it's probably as tall as your tallest image. I would assume that's probably how it works. But I don't really like doing it that way. Kind of like, it looks really weird. So I always kind of say automatically crop, and then it'll go ahead and fill that space, and everything will match then when you do that. I think after we save it, it'll do it. The title, description, and positioning and things like that, we can change where that appears within the image itself. Center, bottom is where we had it, and I have some special styling on there right now. And if we want to change that content, we can go to each image, and then if you click the gear on each page, on each image, then we have, that's our text on there, is that gear component. So I'm going to say cancel on that, and I guess I didn't change anything. I'm just going to say cancel. Yeah, and so yeah, that's how you would edit that slideshow. If you wanted to edit any content within the page itself, again, it's going to be done exactly the same way that we just showed you earlier. This content is kind of floated over here on this right side, or the slideshow is rather. So pretty easy stuff. And I'm just going to cancel. We didn't make any changes, so we'll just back out slowly. This sidebar area, let me go back to our test page, our training page. If you wanted to have a page like let's say this training page, we didn't want this sidebar content. We just think it kind of crowds things, and we wanted people to focus on the content over here. We don't want them to do those things. What we can do is get rid of that sidebar. So on this particular page, there's some page settings. If you click the gear on right there, you'll come down here, and right now it says one sidebar. If we make this say full width, then we hit save. Then what happens is we lose that sidebar on this particular page. So that's how that's done. Like the home page is actually unique. That I think that one is full width with some side content that we added. But yeah, I mean, there's some of these pages might not have that sidebar content. I'm trying to remember where we did that. There's one. So that one we don't. FAQ I don't think we did, because we have so much kind of stuff going on here that it's a little distracting to add that content. But we could certainly do that if you want to add sidebar content to the FAQ page. You come up here to FAQ, click the gear, and then select one sidebar, and then the page would refresh, and we'd have that content there. But I'm going to kill it. One sidebar, full width. Save. Good. All right, so then let's go back to our training page, and we're good there. So let's see if there's other content areas site-wide that are kind of unique. Let's just go through here. Areas like this that have content directly kind of stacked. We're kind of going, one thing, next line, next line throughout. The way that's done is you can hold down Shift and Enter at the same time, and I think that's typical to word processing, where if I hit Enter or Return, it'll make a new paragraph. New P. If I hold Shift and hit Enter, it'll do a line break. So this is a break. Do it again, line break. Just Shift and just Return. It'll do a new paragraph. So good to know, because there's another paragraph basically. Oops, there we go. If you wanted to make these into bullets at this point, that will apply to paragraph content only. So if I did this, actually it's smart enough to know. I lied. So that's cool. That's an addition. But if I wanted to add this line to that, I could just back it up here and then Enter, and it'll grab onto it. If I wanted to get rid of the bullets, I can do that as well by just selecting the bullets again. Now we have 4 paragraphs. If I wanted this to be like a numbered list, we can select the text, and I have some special numbers formatting because we've used this somewhere else on the site. But yeah, that's all configured and totally adaptable and cool. So that's how that works. If you're like, I didn't want to do that, then you could, I wonder if you could do undos. I've never tried undo here. I guess it does work. Undoey. So that's how those work. And then, you can select text and hit delete, do all those things, and I'll hit save. Then more complex areas of the site. We talked about the blog component. And so on our homepage, I guess it's not, oh yeah, it is right here. The grantee spotlight, this uses the blog, and we can cycle through those. And the way that works is each blog post is going to be sent to that area. So I have a grantees blog over here. When I click that, we basically, I don't know where it went. There's grantees. It keeps going back to the home page though. Let's go see. All right. Let's go back in here and grantees. For some reason, it's not allowing me to edit that area. I'll have to look at that, but we should be able to do that. I must have a redirect on there that it's kind of messing that up. But anyway, those posts are how we get in there to add the content on there. So then if we go here to the other areas like FAQ and foundation policies and all these areas. So these are also editable. And you know, you can obviously just scroll down to where you need to edit and make your changes. Specifically, let's see if we have other, like contact us, all these areas. One thing that I wanted to show you before wrapping up are the the PDFs that we've kind of added to the site. So I guess here's a site training page also, uploading new documents, creating link shortcuts. I guess I did walk through it on there, so I guess I don't have to show you how that works here, because that's kind of a deeper kind of thing. I mean, I guess if you wanted to have your first one or second one or something like that, then you can certainly, I can show you how that works. But I mean, it's basically a matter of going to this keep uploads page, or really any page that you wouldn't just delete. So I mean, I would always use this page to do it. And if you just add your PDF content here, then you can actually paste that link wherever you'd want on the rest of the site. So you can kind of keep it in the one place and then have access to that. And then, but that actual that training document will show you how to edit that kind of area. And then over here on our right sidebar, if you want to change this content out, you can select edit here, and you'll want to be a little bit careful in this area as far as like what you type and what you format. I mean like if you were to just change this content now, it'd be fine. But if you select this in like clear formatting or something like that, we'd have to go back in there and reapply the H3 is what we're using here. This is a photo caption. So if we click edit on the photo, it says caption below, and it's a little weird to edit, but you can get in there and you have to kind of, well, anyway. So if you want to change that stuff, it is certainly possible to do. That's an image block, and the caption would show below, so you can edit that content as you go. But anyway, that's how those work. Trying to think if there's other areas that you need to know about. Let's see, contact page, form, footer content, fun to family. If you have a new photo to upload, I mean, pretty simple stuff. Again, we've kind of covered how photos work. We can double click this, and I think we did open this one up in a lightbox. Yeah, we have a lightbox on that one as well. Your staff photos, those are also just regular image blocks. You wouldn't want to open those in lightbox because I think they're kind of smaller type images now. Anyway, and let's cancel here. if you change out in any of your directors, obviously you can get to that content there. The board portal page is found here, and really there's not much to this page. Enable cookies on box. Okay. Successfully enabled cookies. Okay. But yeah, this is just embedded content. This is just a block that we've added to the page. I double click this and it just shows that it's just strictly code. So there's not much to do to any of this formatting or I mean, you know, if you wanted to add more content to the page, you could. But it's really kind of like if you wanted to add PDFs and things like that, you would kind of just do them right in there. Please keep. Oh, that's a folder. I think that's about it. I you know, if you have specific areas that I didn't cover, then certainly let me know, and I could either review them or shoot you an email with like, oh, that's it's the same as every other page, or but usually if you go into one page and you're like, yeah, I want to do the same thing that I did on page X, you can get in here and pretty much see that when you're kind of editing these pages, you can see, okay, that's an H1 heading. This page in particular, the contact page is pretty. You won't want to move anything in here because I have things moved and like positioned in a particular way where when you're in editing, it looks really weird. Like, why did you do this? So if you move those things, then we're going to kind of break some stuff. But when the page renders and the page looks normal, this is how it looks, and this is how it's supposed to look. So anyway, that's how that page works. Anyway, yeah, I was basically saying that if you have specific questions on on certain content areas or things like that, then let me know, and I can tackle those things. All right, well, I guess I've kind of gone pretty far here. So if you have any questions, give me a shout. Thanks.